Before supermarkets, before farms covered the land, survival depended on what you could find growing wild. Across the plains, deserts, and forests of North America, fruits were medicine, dessert, and lifeline all in one. Many of them are still out there today, ignored, forgotten, but waiting to be rediscovered. Chokecherries. Imagine a berry so sour it can twist your whole face into a knot, yet powerful enough to keep entire nations alive. Clusters of small red and black chokecherries still line the edges of forests and prairies across half the continent. Birds devour them, deer browse the leaves. But humans? Most people wouldn't dare. One bite of a raw chokecherry and your mouth puckers so violently it feels like you swallowed sandpaper soaked in vinegar. But Native Americans knew a secret. Once dried or cooked, chokecherries transformed from nearly inedible to indispensable. Pounded into cakes or stirred into pemmican, they became portable, nutrient-dense fuel that could last for weeks and keep people moving across the vast plains. Without them, life in that harsh environment would have been far more precarious. And it wasn't only about calories. The fruit and bark doubled as medicine. Teas made from chokecherry bark soothed coughs, fevers, and stomach troubles. The same tannins that made your face collapse raw worked like a pharmacy once processed correctly. These weren't just fruits, they were survival kits wrapped in bitter skin. Cooking unlocked a completely different flavor profile. That harsh pucker softened into a deep, wine-like sweetness. Indigenous cooks simmered them into sauces, dried them into cakes, and blended them into stews. Today, chokecherry bushes still grow wild from Canada down to New Mexico, thriving where other fruits give up. Most people pass them by, unaware they're walking past one of the most important foods in Native American history. Puffpaw, tucked away in shady forests from the Midwest to the Southeast, grows a fruit that almost feels like it belongs in the tropics. Soft, creamy, and fragrant, it can taste like a mashup of banana, mango, and vanilla pudding. Native families once relied on it to carry them through lean seasons, pounding the pulp into compact cakes that could be stored and eaten long after harvest. For some communities, these humble fruits meant the difference between a long winter and survival. The trees themselves are surprisingly common, scattered through 26 states, far more than apples, but most people walk right past them without ever noticing. That's partly because the fruit is fragile. Pawpaws bruise if you so much as look at them wrong, which makes them impossible to stack in supermarket bins. They ripen suddenly too, green one day, velvety custard the next, and then a pile of brown mush if you miss your chance. Catch one at the perfect moment though, and you'll wonder why this fruit isn't world famous. Even its flowers are eccentric, dark purple and faintly smelling of decay. They lure in flies instead of bees to do the pollinating. It's nature's odd balance of beauty and funk. Indigenous people didn't mind the quirks. They knew the value. Pawpaws are rich in vitamin C, potassium, and calories that fueled journeys and fed families. Long before scientists cataloged nutrition, Native communities had already woven this fruit into their survival strategies. Today, pawpaws are enjoying a small revival among foragers and adventurous chefs who turn them into ice cream, smoothies, and pies. But out in the woods, the trees keep doing what they've always done, quietly dropping their golden green fruit for anyone lucky enough to recognize them. Serviceberries, June berries. Most people mistake them for blueberries, but serviceberries are one of the oldest and most important fruits on the continent. These little purple gems grow wild from the Great Plains to the Rocky Mountains and up into Canada. You'll find them along rivers, in prairies, and even popping up in suburban hedges. They don't look like much, but for Native Americans, they were a cornerstone of survival. Fresh, they're sweet with a hint of almond. Dried, they last for months without spoiling. That made them perfect for long journeys and winter stores. Tribes like the Cree, Blackfoot, and Sioux mixed dried serviceberries with fat and meat to create pemmican, the ultimate travel food. These berries weren't just a snack, They were fuel for hunters, warriors, and families crossing vast landscapes. Nutritionally, serviceberries are loaded with fiber, iron, and antioxidants. They gave steady energy without the crash, making them far more useful than the sugar-laden foods that came later. Beyond food, the berries and bark also had medicinal uses, treating stomach problems and fevers. Serviceberries still thrive today. In Canada, they're known as Saskatoons and are baked into pies, jams, and syrups. In the US, most people walk past them without knowing they're edible. But centuries ago, these little berries were so vital that whole harvest festivals were timed around their ripening. They might not look exotic, but they were the quiet backbone of native diets. Proof that sometimes the most ordinary-looking fruit carries extraordinary weight. Persimmon. Most fruits don't try to humiliate you. The American persimmon does. Bite into one before it's ripe, and your mouth turns into a chalkboard eraser. Your saliva vanishes, your tongue feels like sandpaper, and you instantly regret every life decision that led you to that fruit. But wait until it ripens. Until the skin wrinkles, the flesh turns soft, and it looks like it's about to rot. Then it's pure magic. Ripe persimmons taste like honey mixed with caramel, silky and sweet enough to rival any modern dessert. Native Americans knew the secret long before science explained the chemistry. Those brutal tannins break down with time, leaving behind nature's candy. Persimmons were more than a treat. They were dried into chewy cakes, fermented into drinks, and baked into puddings that lasted through winter. Nutritionally, they packed beta-carotene for vision, vitamin C for immunity, and natural sugars for quick energy. In other words, dessert that doubled as survival food. Families gathered them in late fall, sometimes after the first frost, when the fruit was sweetest and safest to eat. The harvest wasn't just about food, it was a seasonal marker, a reminder that patience could turn bitterness into plenty. Persimmon trees still grow wild across the Midwest and the South, often overlooked on old farmsteads and along creeks. Tough and drought-resistant, they thrive in soils that defeat other fruit trees. Most modern Americans have never tasted one ripe from the tree. But centuries ago, native families timed their harvests perfectly, waiting for that moment when bitterness gave way to bliss. Buffalo berries. On the wind-swept northern plains, thorny shrubs carried a sour secret. The small red berries looked uninviting raw, but when beaten with water, they frothed into a tangy pink drink, something settlers later nicknamed Indian ice cream. For native families, it was both refreshment and survival food in one. The shrubs are scrappy survivors, thriving in poor soils where little else can grow. Their small scarlet berries look inviting, but bite into one raw, and your mouth feels like it's been ambushed by lemon juice and vinegar. For Native Americans, that sour punch wasn't a flaw. It was an opportunity. Tribes like the Lakota and Mandan harvested buffalo berries by the basket, then cooked them down into sauces, syrups, and drinks. The most famous was a frothy, tangy beverage, often called Indian ice cream. Berries were beaten with water and sweetener until they foamed, creating a refreshing treat that worked as both food and celebration. Buffalo berries were also pounded and dried for winter. The fruit is rich in vitamin C and antioxidants, making it both nutrition and medicine in one. Hunters carried it as trail food, and healers used it to treat stomach ailments. The plant itself was a multi-tool. Its roots and branches served for dye and medicine, while the berries kept people alive during lean times. Even today, buffalo berry bushes still grow wild in North Dakota, Montana, and across the Canadian prairies. Most people drive past without noticing them, just another thorny shrub in a windswept landscape. But for native communities, those sour little fruits were proof that survival often hides in the most unexpected places. Prickly pear. Bright pink fruit growing out of cactus pads in the middle of the desert sounds like a cruel joke. But this was one of the Southwest's sweetest lifelines. covered in hair-thin spines that can stick in your lips and tongue, the fruit had to be carefully harvested and peeled. Once that danger was gone, what remained was juicy, refreshing pulp that tasted like a cross between melon and bubblegum. For native tribes like the Apache, Navajo, and Pueblo, prickly pear was more than dessert. The fruits were mashed into drinks, cooked into syrups, or dried into chewy strips for winter. The cactus pads themselves, called nopales, were sliced and boiled like vegetables, providing vitamins and moisture in a region where water was scarce. Even the juice doubled as medicine, treating wounds, easing inflammation, and soothing digestive troubles. Some healers even used poultices of cactus flesh on burns, turning survival food into first aid. The tiny seeds, often swallowed whole, added fiber, while ground seeds could be mixed into flour, proving that nothing from the cactus was wasted. Families often lit small fires to singe away the worst of the spines before peeling, turning a dangerous task into a communal ritual. Songs, stories, and lessons were passed down during harvest, ensuring that knowledge of this plant's value survived as surely as the people who depended on it. Prickly pear still dots the Southwest, its glowing fruits standing out against barren landscapes of rock and sand. Today, you'll see them turned into margaritas, candies, and jellies. But centuries ago, they were survival disguised as luxury. In a land that tried to kill you with heat and drought, this spiny cactus offered sweetness, hydration, and even healing if you were brave enough to reach for it. And in many rural communities, they still do. Backyard nopales and wild fruits remain a link between modern kitchens and the ancient resilience of desert life. Banana yucca. Most people see a banana yucca plant and think weapon. Its sharp, sword-like leaves stab in every direction, turning the desert into a natural obstacle course. But hidden inside this spiky fortress is one of the Southwest's sweetest secrets. Clusters of thick green pods, nicknamed desert bananas. Eaten raw, they're tough, fibrous, and about as appetizing as chewing leather. But roasted or boiled, the flesh transforms into a jammy, sweet pulp that tastes like fruit leather straight from nature. Tribes like the Navajo, Apache, and Pueblo roasted the pods in pits or boiled them into nutrient-rich stews. The fruit could also be dried into chewy strips for storage, giving desert dwellers a reliable sweet food in a land where fresh fruit was rare. Children often gathered them in baskets, learning early how to avoid the razor-sharp leaves, while elders oversaw the slow cooking process that unlocked the flavor. The yucca was more than food. The flowers were roasted as vegetables, the roots pounded into soap, and the leaves stripped into fibers for rope, sandals, and baskets. It wasn't just a plant, it was a full survival kit with dessert included. Banana yucca still dots the deserts of Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Texas, thriving where other fruit trees would shrivel and die. No water for months? No problem. Poor rocky soil? It prefers it. Modern foragers sometimes turn the roasted pods into jellies and syrups, but Native Americans had already perfected the recipe centuries ago. What looks like a hostile cactus playground was actually a dependable orchard for anyone who knew the trick. Saguaro cactus fruit. High above the desert floor, towering giants hold a secret treasure. Every June, their crowns burst open with red fruit, dripping with sweet pulp and thousands of tiny black seeds. For the Tohono O'odham of Arizona, this wasn't just food, it marked the start of a new year. Harvesting saguaro fruit was survival, ceremony, and celebration all in one. The flavor is rich and refreshing, somewhere between strawberries and watermelon, with a subtle nuttiness from the seeds. Families used long poles made from cactus ribs to knock the fruits down, then split them open to scoop out the scarlet flesh. Some of it was eaten fresh under the blazing sun, but most was cooked into syrup, dried into cakes, or even fermented into a ritual wine used in rain ceremonies. In the desert, where water and sweetness were rare luxuries, this fruit was both nourishment and prayer. The harvest season was also a time of gathering, with extended families camping together, sharing food, songs, and stories under the massive silhouettes of the saguaros. Additionally, saguaro fruit is packed with natural sugars, vitamin C, and calcium, making it an energy powerhouse in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The seeds added protein and healthy fats, so nothing went to waste. Even the empty husks were left on the ground as offerings, glinting like red flowers across the desert, a reminder of the connection between people and land. Their presence symbolized gratitude, ensuring balance between what was taken and what was returned. Today, the towering saguaros are celebrated as symbols of the Southwest, but most people pass by without realizing that their fruit fed entire nations for centuries. Hidden in plain sight, those spiny giants still offer up a summer harvest, if you're willing to brave the heat and reach for it. And though modern hikers see only cactus and sand, for the descendants of the O'odham, the harvest remains both a living tradition and an unbroken tie to their ancestors. Manzanita berries. Most people see the shiny red berries of the manzanita shrub and assume they're decoration, maybe even poisonous. But for Native Americans in California and the Southwest, they were an everyday refreshment and survival staple. Eaten straight off the bush, manzanita berries are tart, almost like crab apples. But grind them up and mix them with water, and something magical happens. A naturally sweet, cider-like drink that was both refreshing and nourishing. Tribes such as the Miwok, Pomo, and Cahuilla relied on this manzanita cider as a summertime thirst quencher and medicine. The drink soothed sore throats, cooled fevers, and delivered vitamins in a hot, dry climate. Some families even let the mixture ferment slightly, creating a lightly fizzy beverage that offered relief after long days in the sun. Children drank it as a treat, while elders prized it for its healing properties. The berries could also be dried and ground into meal, then baked into cakes or porridges. Their versatility made them valuable long after the short, fresh season ended. Even the leaves and bark were useful, brewed into teas with medicinal properties. For Native communities, the manzanita wasn't just another shrub, it was a pharmacy and a soda fountain rolled into one. Manzanita shrubs still cover California's hillsides, their smooth red bark twisting dramatically against rocky slopes. In spring, their white urn-shaped flowers attract bees, and by late summer, the berries turn the landscape into a mosaic of scarlet dots. Few hikers today realize those fruits are edible, let alone that they fueled entire generations. Hidden in plain sight, the manzanita remains one of the West's most overlooked native treasures. Oregon grape. Most people mistake Oregon grape for something poisonous. Its dark blue clusters grow on a thorny evergreen shrub that looks more like holly than anything edible. Bite one raw, and you'll instantly regret it. The sourness makes a lemon taste like candy. But Native Americans of the Pacific Northwest knew better. Beneath that sharp flavor was both food and medicine. The berries were cooked into syrups, jellies, and drinks that carried families through long, gray winters. Their high vitamin C content kept people healthy in a region where cloudy skies and damp weather made fresh produce scarce. But the plant's real magic was in its roots, which contain berberine, a compound modern science praises for gut health and anti-inflammatory effects. Indigenous healers had been using Oregon grape teas for centuries to treat stomach troubles, long before researchers gave it a name. Some even chewed the bitter root directly, believing its strength could purify the body and ward off sickness. The shrubs themselves are survivors. They thrive in rocky soil, withstand fires, and laugh at neglect. No fertilizer, no problem. Oregon grape spreads and endures, carpeting hillsides with spiky leaves and yellow spring flowers that bees love. By summer, the berries ripen into dusty blue clusters that look almost too pretty to touch. Today, most hikers brush past Oregon grape without realizing its value. For Native communities, it was proof that even the sourest, toughest-looking plant could turn into nourishment and healing when handled with care. It's a reminder that survival often depends on recognizing hidden gifts in the landscape, even when they make your face pucker.